Hi everyone, welcome to the SE and Sustainability Show. This is your host Faiz, and this podcast is about understanding social entrepreneurship and sustainability and how we can affect our communities and ultimately change the world. Thank you for listening in. In today's episode, we're taking a journey beyond our planet into the fascinating realm of space sustainability. And our guests today represent cutting-edge company that's leading a revolution in space technology. Meet Agnes and Thibault from Re-CAE or Re-CAE. Is that right?
Re-CAE, let's say so.
Okay,
Yes.
Re-CAE. Okay, that's good.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thanks,
Okay.
guys.
They are on a mission to make space more accessible and environmentally responsible by providing expert computer-aided engineering solutions for spacecraft and also space debris management. So join us today as we dive into their work, understanding how Re-CAE's innovative tools and solutions are not only transforming the way we explore the cosmos, but also contributing to sustainable development goals. And get ready for an out-of-this-world conversation, hopefully on sustainability, technology, and the future of space exploration. So welcome to the show. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi,
Thank
hello.
you.
Thank you for
Hi.
having us.
So before we begin, maybe you'd like to introduce yourself to the audience or listeners one by one, just a little bit about your background before we dive into some of the questions.
Sure. So let's start with me.
Go
My
ahead.
name is Agnes, born and raised in Malaysia. I furthered my studies in France, graduated with mechanical engineering and fluid mechanics, then did my PhD in computational physics for aerodynamics. We then moved to Switzerland and we decided to continue our passion in aerospace, and that's why we started our company that I think we'll get more into the details in a while.
Oh,
And
thank you.
here's my here with me is Thibault, my partner.
Yeah. Hi everybody. So I'm Thibault. I was born and raised in France, actually. Also studied aerospace engineering. Did my PhD in the same field, mostly working for rocket motors, rocket engines, and numerical simulations on computers. And then I spent a few years working as an engineer, actually, aerospace engineer, mostly to write softwares and scientific softwares. And then I moved a bit forward to the world of AI, and I spent some time working on AI and deep learning and all this for science again. And now, we are just jumping ahead and the big leap to start this new company and hopefully to change the future. Yeah.
Oh, very inspiring. Both of you, when I first got to meet both of them, it was like out of this world. Wow, these two are working on something that's really astonishing. So let's just go into, maybe both can you provide an overview of what Re-CAE and its mission, highlighting how it contributes or what you actually do for the space industry. How's that for a starter? Yeah.
Yes. So actually, Re-CAE, we are trying to tackle the space debris issue. Just to put things into context, what is space debris? With all the space activities today, space missions that are not responsibly handled, they leave defunct satellites, pieces of junks, or rocket stages in space. And today, Earth orbit is getting congested. And so to safeguard spacecraft in orbit and also to ensure durable access to space, we have to start taking actions. And Re-CAE has a very simple strategy, which is to provide a leading-edge software to run spacecraft lifecycle assessments. And with this toolbox that we are developing, it can be used either before a mission, during its design, or during a life of a satellite to ensure that there's no debris created or no debris left in orbit when a space mission is over. And beyond that, we want to also go down the path of self-driving satellites, where we will be relying on AI-enhanced version of our software technology, bringing aboard a satellite, and they can choose their own path, their own trajectory, which is the most optimized, and they will not get into collision with other satellites, creating more debris. And at the end of their life, they get into Earth automatically.
Yeah.
So not leaving any debris in Earth orbit.
Okay. So maybe just thinking out of the box, just say if I'm a listener right now, I'm listening to this podcast, and what are the numbers? Are there a lot of debris? Should they be concerned when you mention?
Should they be concerned?
Yeah, that should be concerned.
Yeah. So they're probably should I be concerned with this, right? So when you see debris now, how do you know the exact numbers, or we don't know? Or
So right now, these numbers are statistics because even space agencies, they don't have an exact number about it. But just to put things into context, like the first artificial satellite, Sputnik, in 1957, it was launched. There has been around 6,000 satellite launches. And today, there is around 140 million space debris in space. 140 million.
Wow.
Million. That size from
dust, basically a
millimeter to 10 centimeters
10
and above.
centimeters.
Okay, so what is the threat? When you talk about 140 million debris, are they like floating in space, or they eventually we have a trajectory to enter the atmosphere and be a threat to people on this planet?
No, actually, they are floating in space. So
Okay.
to the listeners that are actually maybe jogging out there is no risk that you would get hit on the head by anything. The major risk is for other spacecrafts up there. If a speck of dust maybe hit the spacecraft, then it might cause damages to the solar panels or to the integrity of the spacecraft itself. And that's actually the main problem there, because then if you put a new spacecraft up there, then you really have to be careful and to watch out for those speck of dusts that are everywhere around there. Yeah.
All right. So now I understand it better. So this is where I think there's a connection with sustainability. So sustainability of the spacecraft operations up there. So you mentioned earlier, Thibault, your after your PhD, you did some work as an engineer. So this involved computer-aided engineering, and that's what CAE stands for, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, CAE is for computer-aided engineering. So basically, CAE is any engineering process, from design to production to watching over something that exists or works already, but it's everything that needs and relies on computer simulations.
Okay.
So there is a lot of different kinds for this, but in our case, it's mostly for spacecraft lifecycle assessments, and that's also what I was doing as an engineer before. Yeah.
All right. So how do you just say for someone like me trying to understand? So how does computer-aided engineering, say technology, promotes this sustainable practices in terms of protecting spacecraft design or space explorations out there? Is that a difficult question? Sorry.
I want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. So computer-aided engineering, in our case, it's really, it's going to take multiple forms.
Okay.
So we are acting basically on spacecrafts that are still in design phase, and also on spacecraft that are already up there.
Okay.
Because we really want to work as soon as possible on this debris problem. So for spacecraft that are still in design phase, basically our solution, our software that Agnes was mentioning, is going to help in optimizing the vehicle itself in terms of shape or materials, so that if it has to re-enter the atmosphere at the end of its life, then its destruction will be guaranteed.
Okay.
Why guaranteed? Because then there will be zero debris falling back to the planet, and there will be no risk for anyone. And of course, our tool, in terms of design, it also helps planning the best orbit, because as we were saying, there is a lot of speck of dust, a lot of junk. So it helps in planning the best orbit to avoid collisions in space during the mission, of course, because we don't want to create more debris in space. That's also one of our main goal. So this is mostly for the design phase. Now for the spacecraft that are already up there, basically, so they're still living, their mission is already planned, so they're already in an orbit, and we can change it, but it's too costly. So what we can do is we usually tend to have this service where we provide early collision alerts that will basically allow the satellite operators to choose the best maneuver to avoid the collision. And the best maneuver in terms of, if I do it like this, then I know that in the 3 or 4 days to come, I'm also not going to be in a collision course with anything.
Okay.
So this is mostly for collision avoidance, and And actually,
Yeah.
for space,
No, yeah, okay.
it's mostly the main important part. Yeah.
So the first one is in the early stages. So now we're talking about real-time avoidance
Yes.
collision, like for myself, like a pilot. For aircraft, we have they call it TCAS, an early avoidance system, but that's like real time, So if it's coming, then you have one aircraft will say pull up and one will say pull down, and you avoid.
Yeah.
So, but
Okay.
how fast of a time do you need? Just say now, just say aircraft are there, the International Space Station is orbiting. How would they get advice or expertise from Re-CAE on that?
So yeah, it's of course a maneuver for a satellite. It's not as immediate as
Okay.
pull up or pull down. It takes a bit more time.
Mm-hmm.
But usually what happens nowadays is they receive alerts for possible collisions.
Oh, okay.
Three to let's say 2 to 3 days before.
Oh, okay.
So 2 to 3 days before, and then the satellite operators have to really scramble and work a lot, usually 24 hours a day, to find the best maneuver. Especially if you mentioned the space station, then I mean it's a huge piece of satellite and spacecraft that you need to really be careful about, and the maneuvers needs to be carefully planned.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit of a rush every time for those operators to do this, and usually there is a lot of such collision messages for huge constellations. So what we offer here is, with our enhanced accuracy, we'd rather warn the operators maybe 1 or 2 weeks ahead of the possible collision. And 1 or 2 weeks gives them a lot more time to plan their maneuvers, and to really, it's a bit of an automatic process, basically, because if you know 2 weeks before what's going to happen, then you can really take the time to study the maneuvers and maybe then ignore so you don't spend any fuel, or really optimize the fuel that you can use.
I see. Is it realistic? Because I watched a movie where the Sandra Bullock was on the International Space Station, and have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I think so.
I forgot the name of it, and then when the space debris came in, and it was really devastating. Everything blew up, and they were. So okay, so that was kind of scary, but okay. You need these guys. You need these guys from Re-CAE, to basically have avoidance of debris up in space. And I think you were about to say just now. Besides the planning stages, the one is already orbiting, and then the other one will probably decommissioning, right? What would you like? Deorbiting, yes. All right.
Deorbit and reentry. You want to go for it?
Go.
So
yeah, sure.
So no, it's okay actually. Just to finish up on this, because we talked about design phase, we talked about in orbit, and you're right. There is the last phase, reentry. That it's something that we really specialize in, because that was most of our work before this company. So here, in terms of sustainability, I think it's even maybe more important than in space. The first thing that we really need to do is we need to plan accurately where the spacecraft is going to re-enter the atmosphere.
Okay.
It's called a re-entry corridor. So we really want it to re-enter so it doesn't even fly over infrastructures, or it doesn't fly above air traffic or maritime traffic. Of course, we want to avoid all this. So this is really the first concern there, to avoid all the, let's say, populated areas, infrastructures, etc. But this is but beyond this, so we really also want to use our software to make sure that there's as little pieces of the spacecraft as possible that actually reach, let's say, ground floor. It might be ocean, but ground in general. This is really pieces that are made of metals and materials that are quite polluting. So avoiding as much as possible is also in terms of sustainability for our environment. And I think that's also really important.
Yeah, I think that's excellent. So I suppose, like Steve Jobs started in his basement when you guys got together and started these ideas, this unique selling proposition. Who were, your target consumers or customers out there that you think will be using your software? And from what I gathered, there's a lot of from your products, if you go to the website, it's re-cae.com. You have, I think, 3 products, right? Re-propagate, re-entry, and re-CFD, right? So which one is the one that you say that is out there for people to grasp and basically be aware of and use for their companies? Maybe.
So I think we have to admit that it's a very niche field.
Definitely.
It's kind of too specific. So the customers, I mean, the main users will mostly be satellite operators or people who want to launch satellites, reusable launch vehicles, and so on. And as for the different components of the software that we're proposing, re-propagate, re-entry, they are considered as low fidelity tools that can be used to run quick simulations during pre-design. So yeah, as Thibault mentioned before, for people who want to use it before their mission, and also re-entry is considered as the high fidelity part of the space mission planning, where engineers get to choose their materials and thickness of their thermal protection system and so on. So these 3 components actually come together. That gives different results. So it really depends on what the users are looking for during which phase of their planning, I would say.
I think just to complement, just in one sentence, actually what it refers to propagate here is the orbital phase of the mission. So it's when you're in orbit there for your mission, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That's in technical terms, it's what we call orbit propagation, and that's why it's a propagate.
Yeah, like what you mentioned, collision risk maneuver, that is included in re-propagate.
Oh, okay. And also before this, we talk about you say that you have a cloud-based platform, that offers a comprehensive view of the spacecraft life cycle assessment. How does this approach help users, or who are the users that optimize the mission objectives while in this case minimizing environmental impact to our planet?
Well, I think we are putting forward this cloud-based software architecture because today's software that exists for such activities, they are desktop-based, meaning you have a lot of requirements. Yeah, you have a lot of requirements. Mainly, like we are using MacBook, it doesn't work to and like a lot of memory requirements and so on. And what we have in our head when we want to put forward this cloud-based platform is to really make our tool accessible for satellite operators or engineers and streamline their activities so they can focus on, other operations. And basically, the easy word is to make their life easy, and they just need to go to any navigator, Safari, Google Chrome, login, and they have access to our tool.
And you also, because recently I saw on your LinkedIn news profile, you shared that you have launched your app, all right? This new app. Maybe you like to share some of these features, for somebody who's really new into, talking about space debris or zero debris, could get into their interest up. So maybe you can share a bit about this particular product that I saw, and I would say it's fantastic. I have it on my phone. Like, wow. Maybe, you can let people know.
So the app, the main target is really to raise awareness.
Oh, okay, that's good.
How do I say? It's more like an outreach side activity that we're developing. For now, it's pretty limited. It's only available on Apple.
iOS.
Yes.
But we are working towards an Android version so we can really get this big outreach and touch as many people as possible.
And do you want to elaborate on
that? It's more of an educational purpose there. So this app, what it shows you for people who are just listening and don't have the app yet,
please download it today now.
Basically, it's going to show you the real-time state of our Earth orbit. So it's going to show you everything that is in orbit right now when you open the app, and then you can play around, zoom in, zoom out. You can also choose basically what kind of satellites you want to see. there is a bunch that everybody knows about. Like if I say GPS satellites, of course, this is a category that comes to mind,
Or Starlink.
Or Starlink satellites. That's also something that's been on the news a lot. So yeah, you can play around a bit in the app and see where is what in terms of distances and how crowded it gets if you actually click on please show all.
Okay.
But the show all is really the state of our orbit there. And it's not only active satellites that we're showing, it's also pieces of debris that we know about and that are in the catalogs. And it's getting there. This is educational, and soon you'll be also able to do a bit of interactions with those little bubbles that are the satellites. You'll be able to really see the trajectories, play with it, see how it works when they come back down and everything. Yeah, it's just really to open people's eyes about what's going on up there as well.
And a little teaser, we're working on an augmented reality version of it.
Oh, okay. Wow. You guys are really busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't know it, if you, the listeners, they can't really see it. So if you're on the YouTube, you can see, this it's on my phone right now. So please go to the Apple Store and download Horus, right? HOROS. And this is for basically awareness, and maybe, some of your customers out there or people in the educational field, students who might get a better understanding of what you guys are trying to do, right? Especially, related to when we talk about this show, we're talking about sustainability, right? So a lot of people ask me, is it really interconnected? We're talking about space. It's a very new sector when it comes to SDGs. So people can say, okay, this is about climate change, SDG 13, where we're protecting life on this planet. So as we look ahead, what are some challenges and opportunities for incorporating sustainability into the design operation of spacecraft, and how is Re-CAE addressing these issues? So
yeah, that's it's a vast question, I would say. But in terms of challenges, I think if we keep in mind the most important challenges, really the first one that comes to mind is this is growth of the number of space debris that we have out there. This is really a challenge. It's a risk for spacecrafts, of course. It's also it's starting to be really hard to actually keep track of all them and catalog all them. Now, the second challenge, I think, and this is really something that we are trying to work towards, and we are offering tools to help this. It's really have satellite operators think of responsible end-of-life disposal. And responsible there is really just try to actually plan the reentry so it goes in a corridor that is perfectly safe, and that's also the first point. And what we're also trying to achieve in orbit with our tool is we want to warn ahead, as we said, right? So warning ahead this is to basically minimize the fuel consumption of any satellite. So this is a good thing for all the operators, of course, because they extend their life and we burn less fuel. So that's also a better idea. And overall, for everything that is up there, we are trying to put up some tools to make space traffic management better and easier, basically. So really coordinate spacecraft movements a bit better. So yeah, I would say for the opportunities there is, just to sum up, is if we have more accurate collision management, then we decrease the risk of debris in space, and we also decrease the number of debris in space, right? If we have more accurate reentry predictions, then first thing is we decrease the risk to our infrastructures and our populations and our activities. And if we are getting better at designing the spacecrafts to actually dismantle when they re-enter the atmosphere, then we also decrease the risk of debris reaching ground levels and polluting the ground. Yeah.
Oh. That's very insightful answers. So I think people need to digest that, And I think we've come to the end of today's show. I've taken a lot of your time already. So maybe a last piece of advice, because I think both of you are very inspiring. You've gone all the way in terms of education to PhD, and now I would say rocket scientists. Designing things in terms of helping the planet. from the possible threat of debris and also spacecraft orbiting or decommissioning.
Commissioning.
Yes. So maybe some piece of advice from you, Agnes, and then Thibault, before we close the session.
But yeah, a piece of advice, I'm not sure, but I think for this, I think for this space debris issue, it's still a long way to go, and the huge problem here is international cooperation.
Okay.
And I mean, right now there's no definitive space law for space activities, and what we're doing here right now, it's a very little effort compared to what things are supposed to do. But yeah, I think we are heading towards somewhere.
You're very humble. I think you're doing amazing effort. You're very little. I think that's huge. Great work, Agnes, and also Thibault. Yeah.
We try to make it work and see where it goes, but we're
Okay.
working towards something, and hopefully it helps in the future.
Yeah. How about you, Thibault? Any final words for your viewers out there?
I think just there is just one thing is just keep in mind that this exists up there, but it's not risky, it's not scary. It's just that something that everybody needs to think about, so we can raise this awareness that we actually need to just address this issue and clean up a bit our orbit.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing for the listeners to know that not a big risk, but we have to think about the sustainability aspect of it, the long term for our future generation living on this planet that we might leave behind. Right. Anyway, thank you so much for being on the show. And is that it? You want to say something else, then? And a quick recap today, Agnes and Thibault from Re-CAE. I think what they do, the efforts and also their products play a pivotal role in helping monitor, track, and also predict the behavior of objects in space. Is that right? And and they contribute to the safety, security, sustainability of space activities by providing valuable data and analysis. And also their products, how do I say, not only advanced space technology, but also align with sustainability goals by promoting responsible space practices and reducing the environmental impact of space missions, as Thibault explained in detail. So do look up the website, which is re-cae.com for more information, right? And also their app, Horus, Horos. I'll put it down in the show notes so people can take a look and download them. And also for the Catalyst, for those who are interested in entrepreneurship and sustainability, if you're not a member, you like to get involved in our movement, which is catalyst2030.net, click on membership. And thank you very much for being on the show, both Agnes and Thibault. Yes. So, for the viewers, join me next week as we explore the world of social entrepreneurship and sustainability. Do subscribe to my podcast and stay tuned for upcoming episodes. Together, let's make positive changes one episode at a time. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.